Hi, I'm Tommy Eigel, and welcome to Groove Essentials 2.0. And before we go over to the nice, clean studio, I wanted to say hello to you guys from here. This is a place that was built for musicians to come together and play 7 days a week, 365 days a year. This is the gorgeous and famous Birdland Jazz Club. In about 2 hours, my band's going to get up in here and play. And I started thinking about what are the 50,000 drummers who are using Groove Essentials, what are they using it for? Well, I hope you're using it for playing gigs, for playing with other musicians, because that's what Groove Essentials is all about. Getting into bands, different ensembles, and being a valued member of any ensemble that you happen to be in. That's really what Groove Essentials is all about. It certainly isn't about playing fast licks. It's about getting your pocket and your groove together. Now, we're going to do 53 new grooves, completely new. And we're going to take a different angle this time. We're going to be looking at groove construction. In the original DVD, we looked at the connective tissue, the things that bind a groove together. Now, I'm assuming that you have graduated from the original Groove Essentials. I used to hate it when I would buy a book, and the second book had half the first book in the beginning of the second book. I was like, well, I should get some of my money back. Well, I'm not going to do that to you. I am assuming that you played all those grooves already, and you got those basics down. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to go a little bit faster this time. We're going to get into a lot more sophisticated grooves, and we're also adding a brand new family, the odd meters. Now, I know I can't stop you from running over there right away, but I do want to say that if you don't have your 4/4 happening, the odd meters, they're going to be not so good. So get those 4/4 grooves happening first. So that's all I've got to say. 53 grooves. We're going to move really quick, okay? Here we go. 53 grooves. Let's go get them. Okay, so they say a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. Let's get stepping. Groove 48. Now, there's nothing wrong with your DVD. The first 47 were on the original Groove Essentials DVD, right? Right. Now, before I start showing you all this stuff, let me ask you a question. And I'm going to ask this question, and I want you to define it, what I want to know. And I want you to pause your DVD. I'll wait for you, and then you come back and see whether or not you got the answer right. Here's the question. What is the difference between ghost notes and grace notes? I'll wait. Okay, you back? All right. Ghost notes have rhythmic value and grace notes don't. A very important distinction. We're going to be using ghosts and grace throughout this DVD as modifiers and accessories to the primary grooves. So, grace have no value and ghosts do. Ghosts you can write. Grace do not have rhythmic value. Very, very important to understand that. Now, the first groove we're going to look at, which is kind of like a little boogaloo thing, is going to have both in the same groove to illustrate that point. So if I'm going to play some eighth notes on my hi-hat, and if I was going to put ghost notes in between those, all the upbeat sixteenths, the E's and the does, let's see what happens. Pretty cool, right? Now, let's do another drill. I'm going to play a short little buzzed grace note leading into a bass drum. It's going to make the sound like this. Shum, shum. That's the sound that you want to make. Very important to say it and then try to play it. It'll help you a lot, trust me. Here, check it out. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. No value, just a little sound before the primary bass drum, right? So it isn't like you could write that, you know, so you don't want to have that sound. You want to have zoom, zoom, zoom. All right, now check it out. We'll play the groove off the poster, and it's going to sound like this. Ghosts, and then grace at the end of the bar that don't have value. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. Grace, all those are ghosts. Grace. All those are ghosts. And there's one other really important technique that all the pros use, and I'm going to show you right now. It's like a kind of like a throwaway ghost note after a rim shot. It's going to look like this. Hear that? So it's a shot, like on the backbeat, and then the next note is almost imperceptibly soft. Looks easy, doesn't it? That's tough. That's tough to do because the 2 and then the following note, the E, has to be right in time. So when you play this, make sure you're really paying attention that the ghosts are just as important to the pocket of a groove as the primary notes. The ghosts are as important. I'm going to repeat myself 1,000 times because that's how important that point is. We're going to take these grooves today and we're going to accessorize them with ghosts. Now, I'm not going to write them all out for you because that would be completely silly. Ghosts are interpretive. You can put them any place you feel it works for you. That's how you come up with your sound. Not my sound, not another guy's sound, your sound. You mess around with ghosts, you mess around with grace, and before you know it, you're going to be ghosting and gracing all over the place and having a great time. Let's see what this sounds like with some music at 2 tempos. On to groove 49. This is a tempo-specific example. We're going to be playing very slow, which is just as hard, if not harder, than whipping around the drum set at 900 miles an hour, playing all sorts of crazy octopus licks. To play a groove like this with absolute confidence and clarity is a lifelong journey. Let's take our first step right now. Okay, simple groove, but really slow. You're going to slow that. Listen to that quarter note. Now you have to fill that up with everything you do. You're going to put ghost notes in there. You're going to put grace notes in there. You can't hide. You can't run. You have to be perfect when you're playing it, when you're laying it in the pocket. Now, you see there's more motion to the end of this example than there is in the beginning. More rhythmic motion, some 16th notes, which is a natural musical tendency. We're going to employ that here. Well, let's see what this sounds like. Ready? 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. Boy, that sure looks easy, doesn't it? Doesn't that look easy? And 3E and the 4E and the 1. Now what happens if I just drop a little bit of a, maybe a little bit of a grace note in? How about a ghost note? How about that? All that control, all those little control notes, oh man, that's what makes a groove simmer. That's what makes it smoky. Instead of just playing what your computer can do. You put your little spices in there. You put your little pepper in there. You do your little ghost. You do a little grace. You practice at home. You screw it up 500 times. Who cares? Get those ghosts and grace down. And now when you play it, this is, I'm telling you, this is one of the hardest songs on this DVD. Everybody's going to focus on the odd meters. I know that. But this one right here, Groove 49, this is going to be a real test of your time. Enjoy it. Groove 50. Now, we're going to be talking a lot about skewing grooves by adding things, syncopating things. We got all sorts of stuff in store, but one of the most powerful tools I'd like to introduce right now is groove subtraction. The stuff you take away is just as important as adding. So when you're in a band and you're called to create grooves, don't think about just adding stuff in. Think about what you can also take out. Taking out is an amazing effect, has an incredible effect on songs. So try it when you get inside your own bands and you're playing around with different grooves and stuff. Now here's this groove. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. There's not a whole lot going on. But you know what there is going on? A whole lot of danger getting to that 4 too early. What we did was we took out 2, there is no backbeat on 2, and we substituted your normal vanilla snare backbeat with a nice tom on 4 instead. And it works great, sounds great. This groove has been around forever on lots of different songs. I'm sure you're going to recognize it when you start to play it. You're going to hear it cropping up all around you, especially from about the 1960s or so. This groove was really used a lot. No 2, but a fat 4 on a tom. So now also, your opportunity to do something in the first beat is, you can see I was just kind of messing around a little bit. Like I wrote an 1/8 and 2/16. Nice and simple, and it works. But you can also play a 6-stroke roll. How about a 5-stroke roll? Here's a triplet in 2/16. All those variations, you could put all that stuff in. These are all primary notes that you can notate. They're not ghosts, they're not grace. Don't think they are. Ghosts are really soft notes in the center of primaries. These are all primaries. They all have rhythmic value that are just as important as their neighbors. Keep the 16ths going all the way through. All these different options. You can just mess around with it. More opens and closes. You have a limitless palette of stuff that you can play around with. So just go nuts. Don't just stick with what I wrote. Make up your own stuff too. All right, here's this groove with some music at 1 tempo. Groove 51. Remember Groove 2 from the original Groove Essentials DVD? What was that? It was 4 on the floor, right? Slam it home, 4 on the floor, can't deny it, gotta love it. Okay? Now, we're going to take that, flip it on its head. We are now going to take that 4 on the floor and throw it on the snare drum. So the 4 is here, up top in our range, the higher of our drum set, instead of the low of the bass drum. So that's going to allow the bass drum to play syncopated figures against the 4 on the snare drum, allowing all sorts of different possibilities. Let's see what this sounds like. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. Looks really simple, right? Yeah, okay. Always looks simple, doesn't it? The things that look simple are the most dangerous. That's my rule. You have complete control of the time in this hand. It's a weird thing. You're playing all 4. It feels funny the first time you play it, you know? And I could play that over here on my X hat, but you know, it feels good to cross sometimes. Sometimes I actually like it. You could do that. And there's nothing wrong with it. By all means, go ahead if you like. But sometimes it just feels good to get tight on the inside and feel like it's, you know, tight. You're like you're inside the drums. I'm telling you, positioning of your body and your sticks affects your groove. That groove is self-explanatory. Now that you know how to play it, here it is at 2 different tempos. Groove 52. What if you played busy and not busy at the same time? What does that mean? Well, we're going to play busy in our hands and simple in our feet. As a matter of fact, we're not even going to use our hi-hat on this one. We're just going to be playing ones and threes on our bass drum. But we're going to use like a kind of parallel, busy parallel thing going on between the hi-hats. Now you could go between, if you don't have two hi-hats, that's fine. Use your ride cymbal, totally acceptable. As a matter of fact, in the songs, I'm going to probably use my ride cymbal too. So let's check this out. Now the hand pattern is this. It's two paradiddles, and then this double right thing. Now, if you want to break it down and analyze it, you know, you could call it an inverted paradiddle, floofy, fla-fla, whatever, but don't think of it like that. It's too rudimentary. Just think of it as what it is, some double right hands that are flowing through sixteenths. You learn rudiments to let your mind go in moments like this. You don't learn rudiments to be locked in by what it technically is. You know, so once you learn your rudiments, you can let go of them and just play what feels good in your hands. Don't think about like what you're actually playing. So one more time, that's... Now we're going to bring the 2 over here to play the backbeat and the 4, and you'll see that in a second, and we'll add the 1 in. Okay, here's what this looks like. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and... How about on the ride? 2 and 3 and 4 and. See how I'm naturally going to the bell? And I'm kind of going up on those double rights. I'm going using 2 different textures of the same instrument. It's an amazing tool. Don't just keep your tip in the center, unless, of course, you want to. But, I mean, you have all these options available to you. Even just playing on the edge as opposed to closer to the bell, you know? Get those different sounds. You can use all sorts of different textures when you're playing something like this. And when it gets faster, the key is, and we're going to talk about this a lot, the key is to relax. Okay? So say nice and relaxed when you're playing this thing, you're going to be golden. Here's this baby at 2 different tempos. All right, groove 53, and we're going to flop this on its head. What we did from the last one, busy hands. Now we're going to do simple hands with a busy bass drum. See what that feels like. It's going to be tight, tight and dry up top. No chunking eighth notes and no ghosts and stuff. We're going to keep this super tight, super dry. So your timing with your hands is going to be magnified if there are any problems, which is great. So when you record yourself, and you are recording yourself, aren't you? The golden rule is you must record yourself. So when you record yourself, you listen to the timing of your hands and really make sure that they're exactly where you want it to be. Here's what this groove sounds like. 2, 3, 4. See what I mean? You got that bass drum nice and tight. You hear that figure? Really, really tight. So if you can't play that figure with your bass drum, don't play this groove. Work on your bass drum technique first, then come back to this groove and play it then, and everything will be great. All right? So there you go. 2 different tempos. Let's go. Groove 54. And who says rock grooves can't be sophisticated and be complex? Not me. And this is going to show you exactly why I say that. A lot of different stuff going on in this one. Now, if you don't have your coordination together, stop and don't hurt yourself. Get it together. I promise we'll be here when you get back. Okay? So if this is going to sound really bad if you don't have like some basic coordination stuff together. And I just don't want to see anybody getting frustrated. By all means, try to play it, but if it ain't happening, don't force it. Fix the problem, come back, I'll be here, I swear. All right, here we go. Let's take a look. This has a really cool hi-hat part that you hear lots on all sorts of different genres. All 6 of the families on your poster have this figure in it. Let's check it out. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Isn't that cool? So now, what do? Well, let's put the other stuff in underneath it. Let's see what it all sounds like together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now, what's the other thing about that particular groove? Now, remember, I told you in the beginning, every single thing we're going to learn today has a unique groove concept. Now, what's another thing besides all the obvious stuff that's going on in there? It's a rather notey, kind of dense groove. What's the other cool thing about that? There's no 1 in the bass drum. We always hear everything's just like 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. You're hitting 1s all over the place. This one doesn't have a 1. It lightens the load. It makes it feel buoyant. You'll hear it with the next 2 examples, and when you try it, you see exactly what I'm talking about. Here you go. All right, Groove 55, and boy, did the letters come pouring in, the emails, an avalanche. How could you not put a rock waltz on the first poster? I got to play a rock waltz. It wasn't on the poster. What am I going to do? Well, let's fix that now. And we'll do 3 of them. Now, you might be saying, why isn't it in the odd meter section? It's odd. More on that later. You can't call this odd. In the 21st century, this is not an odd groove. It's a rock waltz. It just happens to be in 3. The first one we're going to do is going to have the backbeat on 3, as opposed to the next one, which will have it on 1. A huge musical difference. You're playing the whole groove in 1 bar. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1. So the whole thing is in 1 bar, as opposed to the next one, which we'll do in a couple of seconds. All right. So let's hear what it sounds like, and we'll play 8th notes over the top of it. Though you have options. You can play 16ths, quarters, triplets, anything you want. Let's see what this sounds like with some 8ths. Ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2 and 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. If you're not used to playing in 3, that could be a challenge in and of itself. You see how I was counting out loud? You know, people get inhibited, like they get all like embarrassed, like, oh, I don't like the sound of my voice. Well, you know what? Get over it. Count out loud, loud and proud. You want to play drums like, oh, I don't want to bother anybody. No, of course you don't. You want to get in there, and you want to have a presence inside of any band or whatever you happen to be doing. You want to play the drums like you mean it. You want to play the drums like you mean it? Count like you mean it. If you were studying with me, I would make you count like it was the last day on earth. Like you had to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. If you count that way, you're going to be able to play it. So if 3 feels funny to you, count it loud and the problem will go away. And then you can start counting it softer and softer until then you don't need to count it anymore. Problem solved. Here's what this sounds like.